one stock that has been under intense pressure for the last many days is SpiceJet. The latest we hear is that the company has cancelled 1,860 flights till the 31st of December. In fact, they've been ordered not to take any advance bookings as well. And as we all know, they've reported losses for the last 6 quarters. So under intense pressure, this one. Is it going the Kingfisher way? That's the question everyone on the street is asking. We have two gentlemen we've invited on the show. Kapil Kaul, CEO of India Subcontinent Center for Asia Pacific Aviation, or CAPA, and Ajay Singh, former director of SpiceJet, joins us now in this discussion. Gentlemen, morning to both of you. Mr. Singh, I want to start off with you because, you have been a part of this organization, and since you left, you must have noticed the way the organization has deteriorated, both in the form of financials, the stress on the balance sheet, as well as what's happening on the ground with respect to flight cancellations, etc. What is your assessment of what the way forward for SpiceJet could look like now?
Well, firstly, SpiceJet has a 20% market share, somewhat reduced now because of the reduction in flights and planes. And they also have a strong promoter. So I think that they will eventually find a way out of their current problems. I think what they need to do is to focus and get back to the low-cost model, which is what SpiceJet was known for. Basically get to one-class aircraft, flying to few destinations, flying frequently to those few destinations, work very hard to bring down costs again, and focus on profitable routes, concentrate on increasing the yields, and make sure that they desist from fire sales. So I think the answers are not that difficult. You just need to get back to the basics of low-cost flying. And I feel that the current management has probably understood that by now.
Ms. Singh, is the government making things worse? I mean, the analogy with banks is very, very close in this case. Once the regulator says that a bank is questionable for any reason, then there is a run on the bank and it implodes. Is it that the DGCA is working in the wrong direction? How can an airline survive if you don't allow it to book forward? Is it actually, accelerating the fall? Should it have worked behind the scenes with the SpiceJet management, given some very strong talk? Is the approach wrong?
Look, DGCA is in a difficult position. They need to, they are charged with guarding public, they are supposed to protect the passengers, and they are supposed to ensure that the airline remains strong and healthy. So obviously, DGCA has a role to play, but clearly that role should have first been played behind the scenes, rather than going out and making announcements which cause greater problems for the future. Obviously, as you pointed out, that if they restrict an airline from booking advance beyond 1 month, then that severely impairs an airline. It severely impairs confidence in that airline, and this whole business is built around confidence. If I feel as a passenger that I cannot fly tomorrow on this airline, then I will not book. So leave alone bookings beyond 1 month. Even the 1 month bookings will be difficult to find. So I think the regulators need to find a way in which they can address their concerns, but do it within the 4 walls of their own offices and with the airline personnel, and not try and make these things public unless they absolutely are forced to do so.
Right. The one thing that will bail SpiceJet out, and something that most investors are hoping that will come through, is funding or, a stake sale, recapitalization, etc. But that process is taking longer than anticipated, and many on the street believe that that's because the Marans don't want to cede control at all. Do you think we should completely rule out the possibility of any stake sale or recapitalization for SpiceJet in the near future at least?
No, I don't think so. Firstly, I feel that the Marans themselves are financially extremely strong, and I don't think that they will just allow an airline to go under their control, because I think that will have an impact on the entire Sun TV group. So the Marans themselves are capable of funding this. In terms of external funding, I feel that SpiceJet is one of the few carriers that is obviously it's publicly listed and has a significant market share, and for foreign airlines looking to get into a market where the general atmospherics are pretty strong now in terms of lower crude oil price, in terms of this government and the positive direction to the economy. I think there are plenty of tailwinds there, and if foreign airlines want to get into India, I think SpiceJet is still a good bet. Obviously, they need to use this opportunity to, this challenge actually as an opportunity to try and bring down their costs significantly and become an important player again.
Kapil Kaul, let me invite you into this discussion. Thanks much for joining us. I don't want to be soft on corporates and make government a soft target. But is there something wrong with the way this industry is being run? The government-owned carrier Air India is perennially on oxygen. Jet has survived only because of doses of capital. One big player has already imploded, Kingfisher, and the other one is following suit. Something is wrong in the way it is run, you think, this sector?
Well, first of all, I must confess that I was very surprised with the DGCA's action. What should have been commercial in confidence was played out through newspapers. And I have never believed that the intended action is not for the airline to straighten up their act. Well, I thought it was more for a public consumption. I felt extremely dissatisfied with the response of the regulator. Agreed with them on the safety issues, on integrity of passenger flights, maybe even staff salaries, but immediately cancelling slots and making sure that you can't do forward bookings was intended that the government doesn't seem to be interested to have this airline continue, which was unfortunate. But coming to your point, the whole sector has been challenged for the last 7-8 years, especially for the last 4 or 5 years, and I don't think the government has done enough to basically bring structural reforms which are required to get the sector back on a fundamentally stronger sense. So my sense is that the whole act of the government so far has been extremely poor, and with the result that the operating environment with which the airlines find themselves is pretty dismal as well.
Kapil, hi, morning. So, let's try and put some numbers to this. How much do you think SpiceJet will need to stay afloat now? Because one, it can't do any advance bookings. Two, it's cancelled more than 1,800 flights. And we've seen every quarter it's posting, 300-400 crore losses. So in terms of the numbers, to stay afloat, how much do you think SpiceJet will need?
Our assessment of March 14 was they required minimum $250 million to clean up their books. That was an assessment we did in April 2014. So my sense was that last year they required about 250, and they had for 6 months of losses which were roughly over 400 crores. And going forward, if you see the next 2 quarters, the Q3 is going to be pretty bad for them. What was supposed to be potentially a profitable quarter or a quarter which could get you to a break-even level, it will prove to be disastrous, and Q4 is traditionally very, very low. So I think the needs of their recapitalization are much beyond $250 million. And I'm not counting that they would, once they get their act together, they would need working capital, they would need money for fresh leases. So the amount of recapitalization that the airline requires is much higher than the numbers that normally are quoted at present.
Okay. Kapil, Ajay Singh was saying that if they got back to what they know best and what they did best, the low-cost model, then that is the way out for the company. What's your own sense? Is it merely this change in strategy? Is this a workable change in strategy as of now? What chances would you give for the survival of SpiceJet?
Frankly, if the money doesn't come now, and I say now means now, to be honest with you, I think this will deteriorate further. The stage of restructuring and getting the cost base more competitive and to look at revenue increase and yield increase, my sense is a second stage issue. The first stage issue is immediate recapitalization. I think it's time for promoters to take some bold decisions, one on further demonstrating their commitment to the business, and that cannot be piecemeal. That has to be one-time large recapitalization, and initiate what I call an enterprise-wide restructuring. I think first, more important is the very large recapitalization. If the money doesn't come now, and if we are still waiting for a strategic investor, I think the performances, the financials will deteriorate, and the chances of a comeback or revival will get very remote. So if the news from Chennai in the next few days is not a very strong recapitalization from the promoters, I would think that going forward it's going to be very, very tough for the airline to survive.
You speak to a lot of people in the industry, Kapil. Are there any global airlines that are still interested in SpiceJet? I mean, there were talks about, 5-6 months ago, but those have died down. Are there still any suitors?
My sense is that the interest from Middle East carriers could be there, but their interest is not in the domestic market. Their interest is primarily to basically have traffic shift to their hubs. The ones that are possibly could be interested is in Emirates, and I don't see Emirates investing in India. There is a chance that Fly Dubai could, but I don't see that happening. And Qatar, to some extent, I'm not sure the kind of complexities that the domestic market is in or SpiceJet is in would interest something like Qatar as of now. In the near term, I think it is possible, but I'm not very sure, given the size and scale of SpiceJet, given the complexities of their problem, that any Middle East carrier as of now would be interested. Then it leaves a financial investor, but my sense is that might also take a while. But it could only happen provided the promoters show a stronger commitment in the business. If the news from Chennai comes that the promoters are going to put in, say, roughly a couple of $100 million or closer to that over a period of next few weeks, I think then the possibility of a financial investor or a strategic investor coming on board would happen. But stage one is for the promoters to demonstrate their act.
Okay. Your answer to the same question, Mr. Ajay Singh? Any international suitors?
Well, there international suitors, yes, but not in the immediate short run. Clearly, first, SpiceJet needs to get its act together. As Kapil said, I think, clearly promoters need to be able to come up with the money, or somebody needs to be able to come up with the money to create some confidence both within the organization and outside the organization. I think if that happens, in the medium term, certainly SpiceJet is an attractive airline for a foreign investor, not only these airlines from the Gulf, but also airlines in the southeast of Asia. A lot of these airlines are looking to take traffic from India and take it to the US or to Europe, and create hubs, in their own hometowns. So for them, SpiceJet represents a great opportunity, but clearly that's in the medium term. First, SpiceJet needs to survive this current situation. I think SpiceJet needs to work with the government as well, very intensively, to ensure that once there is some recapitalization committed, either by the promoters or by some investor, they can start getting back on track in negotiations, both with government, so that there is no more bad news which comes out of government as well.
All right, Ajay, Kapil, thanks so much for joining us. Only time will tell what the Marans do with SpiceJet and whether they can actually prevent a crash landing.